like a parallel universe today. One side it's pouring rain and the other side is like sunny and clear skies. It's still okay to fly though, that's a good thing. But I guess with that in mind, it's kind of interesting reading this one where for some people in some places, things like laws and stuff are just so over the top that they can't find anywhere to fly things like a drone. This one here says, "Suddenly I'm not allowed to fly. Saskatoon drone pilot wants city's rules relaxed." Before the city of Saskatoon banned piloting remotely controlled drones within city limits last year, Murray Wilson flew his Phantom 3 high above his condo complex near Circle Drive, capturing high-definition views of the south end of the city, saying, quote, "I got my license about a year ago, and right about the time I got my license is when Saskatoon shut down being able to fly drones within the city," Wilson said. "Essentially, there is no recreational flying within Saskatoon whatsoever." Since City Council passed a bylaw prohibiting drone pilots from flying recreationally in the city, Wilson has been forced to fly only when he's out near Barrier Lake south of Tisdale. He's penned a letter to the city's Planning and Development Committee that will be reviewed during its meeting next week, asking for a more relaxed approach to the bylaw that would allow recreational drone pilots to fly in city parks. Currently, the city's bylaw states no person shall fly a remotely piloted aircraft in, on, or above property owned by the city or leased by the city or under the jurisdiction and control of the city, except as permitted by the city. This actually makes me wonder if that's actually legally sound, so to speak, in terms of that rule where the federal overrides, I guess you could say, the provincial one, in the case where if you land and take off, let's just say from your own property and fly wherever, then that airspace is technically a federal rule. It says here, quote, "What I would ask for is to be able to register with the city a permit to be able to recreationally fly my drone in a specific park or place within the city that is out of the control zone of the airport," Wilson said. According to the city's website, commercial drone pilots can apply for a permit through the city of Saskatoon. On the permit request form, the city requires a pilot to carry a $2 million aircraft liability insurance and general liability insurance. Wilson said there's no similar avenue for recreational users. And he says, quote, "I'm very frustrated to be living here and suddenly I'm not allowed to fly. So to be able to get a permit to be able to fly in a park, that'd be great, just to keep practicing flying the drone." It says Transport Canada requires all drone pilots with drones heavier than 250 grams to carry a valid drone pilot certificate at all times when operating a drone. Pilots are also required to follow the Canadian aviation regulations around remotely piloted aircrafts. Yeah, so again, it makes me wonder whether or not this is actually a valid law, so to speak, for them saying, oh, you can't fly over any of the properties and all that, because for the most part, it should be treated as, unfortunately, a huge aircraft, where if you land and take off within your own property, whatever, and you just say you happen to fly over the building and so forth, then technically you should be able to do that, shouldn't you? Kind of reminds me where there's stories in the US actually, where various cities or whatever, they said this thing is banned, you can't fly here and there, but what it came down to was, nope, you have no control of the airspace, so they're allowed to do it eventually. Makes me wonder if that's technically the case here as well when you think about it. At the same time, it is kind of crazy to think about still. People are treating everything like a small drone as a huge aircraft, needing like all this insurance and so forth, especially like in this case, if it's true where he's just flying it, let's just say on his condo property, you fly up, you get some images or whatever, come back down. What's wrong with that? Although for perspective, if you actually ever read that stuff, you'd find out almost everything you'd see in a daily life is actually illegal. For example, here, open field, I see all the time, kids or whatever kicking like a soccer ball. To me, it's like, well, what's wrong with that? But apparently that's illegal because it's not in a designated field, so they're not allowed to do it technically. Although from looking at that, you would think, okay, that's ridiculous. It's one of those, it should be the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law, where the intent, I would imagine, to have something like that is you can't have a game of like, what, I don't know, 50 to 100 people, whatever, taking up this whole section as if you are playing, like, say, a formal league or something like that. I think that is the intent. Not like, again, like some kid or whatever kicking like a ball, saying, oh, let's have fun. I know in situations like this, a lot of people would use that talking point of, well, it's all about safety. The drone could crash and kill someone. But then I would ask again, man, where's all the accidents and stuff and the statistics to back it all up? And I mentioned before, I never realized how many manned aviation accidents there were on a regular basis until I started flying drones. So fortunately, like with this story I read today, it wasn't fatal, but it says 2 people in serious condition after helicopter crash on Bowen Island. BC Emergency Health Services said it has taken 2 people to hospital by air ambulance in serious but stable condition. The agency says critical care paramedics transported 2 patients by air ambulance to the hospital. The patients are in serious but stable condition. Bowen Island resident Tony Mainwaring, who was the first person on scene, says he was shocked to find both occupants alive and apparently suffering only minor injuries. Mainwaring says he saw the helicopter flip upside down before it crashed near the Mount Gardner dock on the north side of the island after the pilot attempted to land in a field. Makes you wonder what happened there, huh? How does the helicopter suddenly just flip when you attempt to land there? And it says here, as soon as the helicopter hit the ground, we heard it, he says. It was a huge impact. Mainwaring says he quickly gathered a few friends, went to the scene, and found both people involved walking around near the crash site. I've never witnessed anything like that. I'm a faller and I've spent a lot of time in the bush, but I've never seen anything like that. He says the crash site had jet fuel spilled across it, so they worked to get the helicopter occupants away to safety in case a fire started. The Joint Rescue Coordination Center said a Cormorant helicopter was sent from Comox but was cancelled when the 2 people on board were put on the air ambulance. So fortunately there were no fatalities or anything like that, but it makes you think, I guess, with the contrasting stories, and again in terms of things like safety, do people have the right priority in terms of what needs to be addressed, so to speak, in terms of the things in the airspace and all that? Fight or something, man? Oh man, this girl got into a rumble, huh? Alright, See you guys later.